Ladies and gentlemen, we got.
I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. Yeah, good.
Mr. Gorbachev.
You didn't build that.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Yeah, good.
Tear down this wall.
Your favorite president?
Tear down this wall.
I can see Russia from my house. Pokemon go to the polls.
Ask not
Yeah, good.
what your country. He did say well alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got.
I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. Yeah, good.
Mr. Gorbachev.
You didn't build that.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Yeah, good.
Tear down this wall.
Your favorite president?
Tear down this wall.
I can see Russia from my house. Pokemon go to the polls.
Ask not
Yeah, good.
what your country. He did say well alive.
Folks, we're here.
We're back.
We're back. We're doing it. It's Saturday. It's a beautiful day outside. Sun is shining bright. Spirits are high.
Birds are chirping.
But we had to shut the window because there's also some high winds.
Some Santa Anas.
We've got high winds coming in from the northeast.
We've got a big blowhard acquittal just coming in on the left hemisphere.
That's so crazy. That's exactly what weather sounds like.
Yeah.
Those are exactly the right words.
You have to put your finger on your face so it looks like you're doing a like.
Well, you get your earpiece in.
Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, you put your finger like next to your eye for your earpiece. Yeah, we do have to talk about that. That is some breaking news. That
Yeah, as of like 20 minutes ago.
yeah, former President Donald Trump has been formally acquitted.
OJ Trumpson.
The juice Trump himself has been acquitted on his second impeachment trial. Luch, hot takes, go. First response.
First response. Duh, of course. Just like every single time with this guy. It's kind of like when you watch the Ted Bundy documentary and they keep being like, he seems nice, let's let him go. Or like they're like, I think it was that guy Ted that drove the same car, you know,
Yeah.
and then they let him go and
This
they
guy's
go.
the Teflon Don. He's untouchable.
Have they called him that before, right?
People have called other people Teflon Don. I think it's a little too on the nose. The thing is, I don't think people call
He's
him
like
Teflon Don.
aluminum foil boil.
Yeah, I don't think they call him Teflon Don because that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to
shit.
sound cool. They called Reagan Teflon Ron after Iran Contra because he didn't get dirtied up in that.
What about Enron?
Enron Hubbard. It's a pretty good pun.
So, I mean, you know, I think Trump put out a statement being like, and it's a movement, not going to stop us.
Yeah, I have the statement here.
You don't.
I mean,
Okay,
I don't want to do
what's
the voice.
newsworthy? Just. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you know, that's basically what he said, is that MAGA's just begun. That's
Yeah.
the root of it.
He's like, please don't stop the movement.
That's so crazy because he just had the lyrics to that, and
He's
that's
like,
his entire
I
statement.
Wait, what's for an all-white state?
Like an white ethno state?
I want an
White
ethno
ethno
state.
state.
Please don't stop
That's going to be taken out of context, so
movement.
we're going to get canceled.
No. So, anyway, TrumpWatch.
TrumpWatch, is he alive? He's more alive than ever. He's getting back into the fight, and he's ready to go.
The coronavirus couldn't stop him. The Democrats couldn't stop him with
We
the
knew
same
that.
thing they do every time.
So, what's interesting about this is that they did get seven Republicans to vote to impeach, to convict. Now,
The latest resistance heroes.
That's right. Well, so many of the same ones. Last year, during the impeachment hearing in 2020, when Mitt Romney voted to convict, he became the first ever senator to vote to convict somebody from his own party in an impeachment.
So it's multiplying.
It's spreading.
So maybe in like 100 years that
You'll
Trump
get everybody.
will be.
Yeah. So it's technically the most
Impeached.
bipartisan impeachment ever. There was only one surprise of the votes to convict, because the six Republicans that voted that the hearings were constitutional, they all voted to convict. That's your Romney, your Sassy, your Collins, your Murkowski, your Toomey,
Toomey?
Somebody else.
Toomey Lahren?
Toomey Lahren. And the only person that switched from saying, I don't think that's constitutional, to, we should convict this bitch, was Richard Burr, senator from North Carolina.
Richard Burr, sir?
Yeah, that's the vote for Richard Burr, sir.
Wow.
He and Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania are both retiring, so they don't really have much to worry about.
They don't give a fuck. That's good.
So McConnell voted to acquit, and then he gave a statement where he was saying that he does think that Trump committed a crime.
Oh my god.
Basically, what people like McConnell and Tom Tillis and the like, Rob Portman, Richard Shelby, what those people are all kind of thinking, from what I can tell, is they're just hoping a lower court will convict Trump for something. Like, they don't want him to run again.
Is a lower court, like, does he have another court case after? Okay, so what's that?
Well, as always, he's got the stuff in the Southern District of New York that's hanging over his head.
Okay.
Which have been in the works for years. Just fraud stuff, basically.
Okay.
But they are, I believe, opening up an investigation in Georgia into the call that he made to the Georgia Secretary of State asking him to find more votes so that he could become president again. Well, which he wouldn't have done if they'd won Georgia anyway.
That's like
but they're asking
trying to like book a hotel. Like, could you just find me?
Yeah, exactly.
Jacuzzi tub, please.
But so apparently they're asking the state AG to look into it. So I think that McConnell and them are hoping that case will find him guilty and bar him from, being a major figure without them having to do it.
But if he was found guilty in the lower court, you could still run for president.
Technically, a convict can run for president, but they're hoping that...
Like John McAfee?
Yeah. He's just a fugitive.
Yeah.
But what they're hoping that will either lead to him being in prison or lead to him being so politically wounded that he can't run realistically again. That's their hope, I think. But so that's TrumpWatch. The boy keeps winning. So, what can you do?
What? Okay. So, it's also Valentine's Day weekend.
Wow, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. It's also a week of me being 28.
Wow, happy week of 28 Day.
Thank you.
It's 2 weeks of you being 28.
Oh, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Your birthday's on the 1st. Tomorrow's the 14th.
Sorry. It's been a crazy year.
Ain't that the truth?
Anyway, happy Valentine's Day.
You got any plans?
This is my gift for you.
Doing the podcast?
Yeah.
My gift for you is that I'll edit it and release it.
Thank you. You should put in some Easter eggs of love.
Valentine's eggs.
Sounds gross.
It does.
So, I thought, our podcast episode should be about love in the White House. Barbara Bush. George Senior Bush.
And their love life specifically.
Nancy Reagan. The one woman's fight against, not against AIDS. And
one woman's fight. Nancy Reagan is really kind of a millennial woman hero because her big cause was getting people to take astrology seriously.
Yeah. And covering up her husband's dementia, which is really true love. It's basically like The Notebook.
That's a ride or die.
Yeah.
Nancy Reagan's a real ride or die.
So, yeah.
All right, well, now that we've talked about that, I have another idea for a topic.
What? A hot topic?
Well, tomorrow is the anniversary of a famous massacre.
Cool.
So I thought, my idea for a topic. That's why you won't hear Lucia have anything prepared for this, because this is my idea for a topic. I thought we could talk about Prohibition and the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Because I'm going to have to get drunk to listen to this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to kill you.
That's true. For Valentine's.
So why don't you give us some backstory?
Prohibition. You've heard of it.
Yes.
In 1919, the Constitution of the United States was amended to ban the distribution the manufacture, distribution, and sale of alcohol, not the consumption, just the manufacture and distribution and sale. This was the result of campaigns for decades, temperance campaigns, mostly led by women, and it was a huge victory for the progressive movement. Actually, the progressives were really into this. They felt that people were drinking their damn lives away, and that many dirty immigrants were drinking too much, and it was just not the Christian thing to do. So they got the U.S. government involved, and in 1919, they banned the sale of alcohol. Now, Luch, what happens when you ban something that everybody wants?
It becomes the most delicious forbidden Tide Pod that you must eat.
That's true, and that's also, of course, why I have my Underground Four Loko running system. That's right, people want it. And so what happens is you get a black market that builds up. Now, in the Prohibition era, of course, the biggest black market around was the mafia. The mob. Cosa Nostra. The gangs. And they were selling hooch. Two of the biggest hooch sellers were a man named Alphonse Capone.
What a coincidence that there was Al Capone and there was also an Alphonse Capone.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, what a strange situation. No, Mr. Al Capone.
The Fonz.
The Fonz. They called him the Fonz. Scarface himself. Did you know that he was called Scarface? You did? That's cool.
Because he always had a scarf wrapped around his face.
His scarf.
To protect his throat.
He was a hotshot scarf wearer. Yeah. He was the Scarface.
He's like, I'm going to protect my voice. Wait, that's not what we're talking. I was thinking of Pavarotti. He was like, you must always wear a scarf around your neck to protect your voice.
Yeah, Al Capone's like, yeah, wear a scarf.
Yeah.
Hey, protect your voice, see? So you can have a pretty voice, like me, Al Capone.
I don't
see?
like the face you're making while you do this.
I'm making a good face.
Now,
it's a scar, see?
So, it's funny that you bring that up, because I think I maybe do know a little tidbit, a little shot of knowledge about the mafia and Prohibition and stuff.
What?
It might happen to be because I am very Italian.
You're what?
The thing is that my great-grandma Stella made bathtub gin herself.
What?
My great-grandma Stella migrated from Italy, or immigrated from Italy, in the early 20th century, and had kids, married my great-grandpa Battleship.
That's his birth name, by the way.
Bappy Joe, who's a real asshole, real son of a bitch, real womanizer.
What's an Italian word for
beat her up?
this?
Sfacim. I don't know.
He's a little sfacim.
And so my great-grandma Stella, she lived in Hell's Kitchen on 10th Avenue. Now, the 10th Avenue is where the 10th Avenue gang was, which was run by Oni the Killer Madden.
Any relation to John Madden? The
no.
football coach video game?
Well, fucking maybe. So, she, we only have like 2 or 3 pictures of her in existence. One where she's got sort of a flapper type of do. And that's the kind of circles that she would run in. And, to make money for her kids, including my grandpa. And, Oni Madden would, throw pennies out into the street, for the kids. And they all, loved him. He was this figure of, he protected the neighborhood in Hell's Kitchen, just like Daredevil.
Yeah.
And then she mysteriously died at the age of 28. Same age as me. They say she was hit by a car, but it doesn't really make any,
Was she pushed?
I don't know. I mean, I did have a relative that was a woman who was pushed out a window, so I think there was a lot of pushing.
Why were they pushing so many Italian women?
I don't know. It's not okay. So, so if you're interested in learning more about this era and my family, my cousin Mona Rodriguez put out a book called 40 Years in a Day that's kind of like a sort of historical fiction, but like based on the family history. And there's a lot of like weird claims that like we just don't know, like that if you've seen the most recent season of Fargo, a big theme of that season of Fargo is like these old-timey gangs, how they have to like sort of switch children, like raise a kid, like the like black gang raises an Irish kid, the Irish gang raises, you know, like that kind of thing. And so in that book that is very like based on my family, she does mention something like a family member being raised by Oni Madden's gang.
Wow.
And Oni Madden was like half Irish, half British. And so like there's a lot of weird like overlap with the immigrant culture and the protecting all the you know, secret booze clubs and things. And my great-grandma Stella's son, my grandpa Pappy, you know, he went on to like be a cop, but then also like work in you know, like nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like all the, you know, mafiosos and Frank Sinatra and like all them were hanging out. So it's a very like it's a shame to not have the full story.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a small community. Like,
oh yeah. Those organized crime circles.
Yeah. I mean, your family has some organized crime history.
yeah, it does. I don't know too many details about it, but suffice to say, there's some connection with the Irish mob in St. Louis. That
there's a picture.
Yeah, well, there's a picture of my great grandma on what's his name? Al Pacino's character, Jimmy Hoffa's lap.
You mean Scarface?
Yeah, Scarface.
Oh my god.
There's a picture of her on Jimmy Hoffa's lap. So that and some other indications that they may have been involved with the Irish mob in St. Louis, which is, you know, Hoffa was a Chicago guy. Mm-hmm. So that's all like Great Lakes, Midwest crime. I wish I had more detail, as many details as you do, because that stuff's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I just have phantoms and wraiths to chase down.
And then my Nana, who ended up marrying my pappy, the one who, you know, worked in the nightclubs and stuff, she and her sister became like the first, you know, some of the first lady detectives in New York City and heroes. And then my grandma was on the art squad where like you know, she'd have to like stake out big like art thief you know, plans and things. And then her sister was on the mob squad and was bringing down a bunch of the mob. And so there was this sort of idea of like, if you're an Italian immigrant like that wants to get respect, like you either get respect by being in the mob or by taking down the mob.
Yeah. I think that was really common for that era of immigrants. Like you either kind of had to take them down or go legit. And
even still, my grandma was always very like upset at the stereotypes in like The Sopranos and stuff like that. And that's why the Sons of Italy, like the Italian organization, their biggest cause is like when they send like, please donate to us, it's like to help end bad Italian stereotypes in movies and media. You know,
that's
like,
their main cause.
They're very like, we're not all mobsters, even though they are. So and it's weird to think of like something that, I mean, obviously alcohol can be very harmful, but similarly to how we have looked at the drug war and people being put in jail over marijuana, like it's crazy to think of, you know, so many people getting killed and you know, having to live in secret because of making or selling alcohol. Yeah.
It's bizarre that it was such a big thing. I mean, from 1919 to 1933. is how long that was. Like,
yeah, and you think of Italian, like Italian immigrants, their kids drink wine.
yeah.
And, Irish and Scottish immigrants, like, drinking whiskey and, it's all normal.
Think of just the 20s, the roaring 20s, flappers, Great Gatsby. You think of people with champagne, with drinks.
Also with the connection with how we treat marijuana, it's like the prohibition of marijuana was very much because that's what Mexican immigrants did.
Oh, yes.
So there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, there was a lot of blame put on immigrant communities for widespread drunkenness in the late 19th, early 20th centuries, for sure.
Instead of just blaming that it sucked to live back then.
Yeah,
And
instead of
it's very
blaming,
different.
that it was just a bad way to live. All of that came to a head on February 14th, 1929, when, in the Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago, 7 members and associates of the Irish North Side Gang were capped by Al Capone's South Side Gang, the Italian mob.
Now, why?
Well, gang stuff, mostly. Bugs Moran was the leader of the North Side Gang, and
Bugs Moran.
Not
Bugsy Malone.
Not Bugsy Malone, Bugs Moran. And one of Bugs Moran's shooters, one of his guys, had
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn. One of Bugs Moran's hitmen had killed the brother of one of Al Capone's, and so they were exacting revenge. And in fact, it was at a garage that the North Side Gang used a lot. And Albert Koshelik was there, also by James Clark, who was Moran's second in command. And the prevailing theory is that Capone's gang thought that Koshelik was Moran, because they were built similarly, same height, had similar hats. And so they thought they were getting Bugs.
It was a mix-up.
It was a classic mafia mix-up. And what's interesting too is that the Capone's guys that came, two of them were dressed as police officers, and so it both looked like the cops were doing it, and they were able to leave easily from the massacre by having the 2 guys dressed as cops be pretending to arrest the other guys.
Shit.
So people in the neighborhood were like, I guess whatever that was is taken care of. I guess the cops are here. I guess it's fine. Interestingly, though, the cops that were there, the people that were dressed as cops, is part of why Bugs Moran wasn't there. Because when he approached, he saw cops.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, I'm not going to go in there.
He made the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah, he turned around and tapped on out. So it was technically, there was never anybody convicted for this crime. The people that were the main suspects were killed. The people that were the main suspects, they had tried to also kill Capone, like they tried to double cross Capone, who went right ahead and double crossed them. But those were just the
Classic Capone.
Yeah, those were just the main suspects. Technically, it's unsolved. Technically, they don't know exactly who did it.
Oh, wow. That's kind of cool.
We know it was Capone.
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly who were the shooters. There was one survivor. He survived for a few hours.
Oh.
He was shot 14 times, taken to the hospital.
Fuck.
And they said, listen, say, who did this to you? And he said, nobody shot me. And then he died.
Those are the best, last words.
Yeah. Just
That's
absolutely
the opposite
riddled
of,
with
I know
bullets.
who killed me.
Yeah.
Nobody shot
Nobody
me.
shot me. 14 bullet wounds.
That's awesome. How many people did die?
7.
It's a tiny massacre in
But it was huge
2021.
news. Yeah, nowadays that's chump change.
Yeah, nowadays that's a regular day.
Yeah, this is an old day in Chicago.
Um,
But this is basically what brought a lot of attention on gang culture.
and prohibition stuff.
Yeah, like the idea that there were suddenly these gangs that were, I mean, all their money came from trafficking alcohol, basically. They did illegal gambling, they did other things.
prostitution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, like, really, it was the traffic of hooch that was the big deal.
I mean, that's even, the mafias, having these underground nightclubs, like that even, ties into Stonewall.
Yeah.
With, Stonewall was owned by the Italian mob, an Italian mob family whose daughter was gay. And it was
wow.
like, hey, let's just buy this gay club and some other gay club, we can make money off of that. These people want to be underground. We don't give a shit that they're gay.
Like in Big Love, where they're willing.
We're watching Big Love, everybody.
The Henriksons are willing to get into the gambling business because the unscrupulous gamblers don't care that they're polygamists.
Exactly. It's just like Big Love.
We're only in season 4. No spoilers.
Yeah, we've been watching Big Love. I've been watching Outlander.
Yeah, I haven't been watching Outlander yet. Lucha's been watching it, but I gotta get into it.
It's very sexy.
I've been hearing it's good.
So, these nightclubs were incredibly popular, and I think it was people enjoyed that it was there was some fun to it being illegal.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Going to the speakeasies and stuff. It was exciting.
Yeah, and right now, a couple months ago, I remember someone had leaked this little flyer that was going around for a fancy restaurant, I believe in LA, that was like, come to our special speakeasy night, you can eat indoors. And I feel like that's been an annoying thing about the COVID stuff, is acting like they're making it illegal to show your face, you have to wear a mask. And it's like a public, people that think that having to wear a mask is at all a persecution of their rights, akin to banning alcohol or something.
Absurd.
It's very offensive.
Here's a fun little fact.
What?
About talking about Prohibition, talking about drugs and gangs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Heroin was made illegal 5 years after alcohol.
Oh yeah, because heroin was a lot more. It was used for in the medical field.
Yeah, it was pretty
it was
commonly used as a painkiller. Because and it's not nowadays. OxyContin and shit like that's basically the same. It's just actually more powerful. Heroin was in pretty common supply because if you think about it, these jazz guys in the early 20s, it's easier for them to get heroin than to get alcohol. Yeah,
and it was sweet. There's a store in Burbank called Unique Vintage, and a friend of mine works there, and people will come in and they'll be wanting to get a flapper outfit, and they'll try it on, and they'll be like, why doesn't it look like the flappers in the pictures? And my friend was like, they were all super high on coke and not eating, and they were strung out on heroin, doing coke, dancing all night. It's okay that your body doesn't look like the flapper. And I just thought
probably
that was
better.
A great observation, where it's Zelda Fitzgerald, you don't want to be like her.
No, not at all.
Don't want to be like F. Scott Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
You know what I say?
Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I say F him.
F him. I
say
feel like we made
simply
this joke on the podcast.
F him.
Yes.
Yeah, also, cocaine was still legal
Yeah.
when Prohibition was passed. Cocaine was made illegal in 1922, and heroin in 1924. And both were controlled in the 1910s. They started being controlled substances, but they were made illegal only then. And they weren't made Schedule 1 until the Nixon administration. Because that's when that system was put into place. The scheduling system.
What a system.
What a system. Works great.
It goes down with Bush's terror.
Yeah.
How much terror do you feel there is today?
Yeah.
Code red?
That's so fun. I forgot about that. The terror code system, the color code system. The idea that you could be like, oh, hey, it's a purple day. I guess we can chill. And then it's oh, sorry, Thursday's going to be orange. We're going to have to really batten down the hatches. Are you free on Saturday? Well, it's supposed to be a yellow day, so it might be okay. I don't think they gave it in advance. I just like the idea that you could plan it like the weather. So Prohibition didn't last. It turns out Americans like getting loaded.
You mean the thing that our nation was founded on, basically. Like,
yeah.
taking apples and then making them old and drinking it.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think Johnny Appleseed is planting all those apple trees for? You think Americans love apples that much?
You think, as American as apple pie?
What are we, our gang? No, we're not sitting here eating apples, all right? We're making some frickin' Society Whitey out of it.
And some Sam Adams.
Some Adams. Yeah, no, Americans were not having it. We're not thrilled.
How do you think Benjamin Franklin got gout?
You think you get gout by, what, not trying? So he I was thinking about Franklin. So in 1933, the 21st Amendment was passed to re-allow the sale of alcohol. It feels like, I don't know for sure, it feels like it could have also been a bit of a response to the Great Depression. Because the Great Depression kicks in 1929, 10 years after alcohol was banned. Coincidence? And then, FDR came into office in early 1933. A few months later, signed the 21st Amendment.
It's like, let's get blotto.
It was like, gentlemen, we must get fucked up. And they did.
Yeah, I mean, Great Depression-wise, it's like you've got a whole industry of a whole legitimate industry of brewing.
Yeah.
And suddenly you
And
tell
distilling.
all those people.
Yeah, winemaking, like.
I mean, even we used to live near downtown Portland, and it's like you can walk through the Pearl District, and there's all these huge old brick distilleries with those huge, like.
The big stills, the big pot stills.
Yeah, where the smoke comes out of and whatever. And, and that was jobs for a bunch of people.
People needed them.
Yeah, and then, take that away and you got people working for the mob and making bathtub gin.
Is that what you want? You want all this money going into the hands of Italians?
They're going to spend it all on focaccia.
Oh, big her up! They spent all my money on a focaccia!
When you mentioned the Valentine's Day Massacre and it being in a garage, it was actually quite familiar to me because of one of my favorite movies. It came out in 1959. It's directed by Billy Wilder.
The day some Irish got shot.
The day the Irish got. Or what? No, it's called No One Shot Me.
Yeah. The day the mix got what was coming.
Also known as Some Like It Hot.
Some didn't get shot.
Some didn't get shot. Starring Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon, and Tony Curtis.
A great film.
A great movie. We strongly recommend it. If you are one of those people that's like, I can't get into old movies, this is, or if you're like, if you've always just sort of seen imagery of Marilyn Monroe, but just thought of her as like a frowsy blonde and never thought she actually, never knew what Marilyn Monroe does, this is such a great Marilyn Monroe movie.
She got chops.
Yeah, she's got chops. She sings in it. She's, has comedic timing. She's, also looks gorgeous. So that movie opens with the Valentine's Day Massacre. And the premise of the movie is that you've got these two poor, down on their luck musicians, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. And, they're like, they're running out of money. It's cold in Chicago. I think they go into a garage with their big instrument cases, and they witness the Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah.
So basically they're like, fuck, we have to hide. So they see, I don't know, a flyer or something, or for an all women's band that is traveling across the country and going on a train. And so they decide to dress in drag and get on the train, and that's how they meet Marilyn Monroe. And Prohibition is a big theme of the movie as well, because not only is it we can't have secret men sleeping in the same rooms as women, the women band, that is already so racy, but the idea of that and alcohol is there was still that very puritanical mindset.
Yeah.
And so Marilyn Monroe, she has a little flask in her garter belt or whatever.
Yeah. Very common with flappers and stuff.
Yeah, and it's basically hey, if we catch you one more time with this alcohol, we're kicking you out. So there's definitely a big theme of like people that are misfits and out of down on their luck, and cracking down on a lot of that. Also kind of jazz mentality, because they are in a jazz band, and it's like the idea of a jazz band that is not allowed to drink, and men and women aren't allowed to be in the same room with each other. But so it's a really ahead of its time, progressive, romantic, hilarious, like the most hilarious script that 100% holds up. And you have like, and it's super queer. Like Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon are acting as women, and they feel like women, and they even basically take that on as part of their identity, and it's just so much fun. And then at the same time, they're being chased by I guess Al Capone's gang that can recognize them like once they see the like gunshot holes in the in their instrument case. So please watch Some Like It Hot. It's a perfect Valentine's Day movie, especially.
It really is. That's a really good recommendation for Valentine's Day. You should watch it.
Yeah.
You should watch it later.
Tony Curtis is the father of Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right.
And Janet Leigh was Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. So you should
do
go
a double feature.
Check it out. Yeah.
Some Like It Hot and what, Psycho? That Janet Leigh's in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tony Curtis
came out almost the same year.
Tony Curtis makes a very gorgeous woman. So if you're a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis and you want to see those features,
I got the film for you. Also, a prominent appearance in the film by one of the great tourist destinations of my hometown of San Diego, because the hotel at the end, the back half, that's supposed to be in Florida, was shot at the they shot all that at the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego.
I didn't know that.
Very haunted.
Cool.
Yeah. I've stayed there once. It was nice. It was really nice.
Did you see any ghosts?
No.
Fuck.
We gotta go. Gotta go find them ghosts.
Speaking of spooky and Marilyn Monroe, another thing is that Marilyn Monroe's last movie, which we've talked about, Marilyn Monroe probably being killed by the mob.
Probably.
And hanging out with mob people the night she died, and maybe it was a way of getting back at JFK, etc. So it's very tragic about Marilyn Monroe. Which is why it's like, pay her respect and watch.
Put some respect
movies
on her name.
Exactly. So, Marilyn Monroe's last movie was called The Misfits, and it was directed by John Huston, right?
I think so, yeah. I'm looking it up.
Who's Angelica Houston's dad, who was known...
Yeah, John Huston.
John Huston was known to terrorize his actors and his writers. Like, when he worked on... I believe 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with Ray Bradbury, and Ray Bradbury was afraid of flying, he was like, forced him to go on a plane. That's how, John Huston would just do mind games with everyone. Total sadist. So, John Huston was, but also like, brilliant. His movies are brilliant. Because that's Hollywood, and it still is Hollywood. So, The Misfits was Marilyn Monroe's last movie, but it was also Montgomery Clift's last movie, and Clark Gable's last movie. That is crazy. And the confluence of Huston as the director, forcing these actors to make this really, because unlike Some Like It Hot, which is a romantic comedy, one of the best romantic comedies of all time, The Misfits is like a heavy drama. So that also has a bit of action, and so he has like Clark Gable being pulled by a horse even though he's in his 50s, and like a lot of really I think it was written by Marilyn Monroe's old husband.
Yeah, Arthur Miller.
It's an Arthur Miller script too, so it's just really heavy, very kind of modern themes, and he pushed them all to exhaustion and kind of, to the brink of death.
Yeah, I just saw that Monty Clift actually did one more movie with John Huston after The Misfits next year, where he played Freud, which I'm sure did not help. Either way, John Huston definitely killed all three of those people.
We know who killed them.
That's insane. It's like John Huston is the nuclear fallout that killed John Wayne when he made his Genghis Khan movie in like Nevada.
Yeah. So that's why every Valentine's Day we celebrate by
killing 7 Irishmen.
Yeah.
That's right. That's our tradition.
That's why next month is St. Patrick's Day, to make it up to them.
Yeah, to give them their own little day.
Yeah.
So that's basically the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Like, Prohibition was a failed experiment in progressive governance where people thought that if they regulated this dealio, then people would be better. And that is just simply not how it works.
Simply not how it works.
It was a big political issue between what were called dries and wets. That's correct.
We should still refer to certain politicians as dries and certain ones as wets.
Agreed.
You can tell which ones are.
The Republican Party was largely pro-prohibition because prohibition was very...
Conservative.
No, it's very progressive. Prohibition was seen as very much... It's the side of the progressive movement that we don't talk about anymore, like eugenics.
Suffragette. The suffragettes also wanting temperance.
Exactly.
Also wanting,
Exactly.
Which, if it's a culture, which it was, where it was totally normal for men to
get drunk and kick the shit out of their wives.
Beat their wives.
Exactly.
It's like if you put yourself in those shoes, if you're a young progressive and you're like, this shit is making people crazy.
You want to use the law to make society
to
better.
regulate, yeah.
I mean, think about it'd be this is probably not the best comparison, but it would be like somebody who wants to ban the sale of meat, where it's like, well, it'll make a more moral society. It's like that kind of impulse.
Yeah.
But so the progressive Republicans were very into it. Teddy Roosevelt wasn't a prohibitionist, but many of them were.
Teddy Roosevelt, it was something like he got really into the creation of alternative sugars or something. Like, it's basically like thanks to Teddy Roosevelt we have Splenda or something. Just look it up.
This
it's
tastes
weird.
Splenda.
Splenda. Is that a bully?
Yeah. The Splenda pulpit.
Something like that. Aren't there like dry cities and wet cities or something?
Yes, there still are. There are still counties. Because whether or not you sell alcohol, that's something that is up to the states. Yeah, states and municipalities can decide their own alcohol policies. In fact, the only reason that every state recognizes 21 as the drinking age is because they all had to agree to in order to get transportation funds in like the 80s.
Secretary of Transportation?
Yeah, right? I do think it was something like for road improvements. Like, if you want federal funding for your road improvements, you have to agree to the 21 drinking
so that
age.
People don't drive recklessly on the
I think that
roads
was the
or
idea.
something.
But it mostly just get everyone to agree. But states can, there are many counties, especially in the South and the Midwest, where you can't buy alcohol at all, or you can't buy alcohol on Sunday. That's a big thing still. I think Chicago has stuff like that still.
When we were living in Oregon, it was really weird because we grew up in LA, the city of, of hedonism. And moving to Oregon, it was like in the grocery store you couldn't buy hard liquor.
Yeah,
which
you
is
only
funny
had beer and
because
wine.
Portland has such an alcoholism problem. I've been harassed by so many drunk people on the street, and they have alcohol, ride a bike and drink beer, craft beer. Yeah. It was but you could not buy tequila at the grocery store. You had to go to a specific liquor store. Yeah, which is just unnecessary. It's
such
very
a pain
weird.
In the ass. Yeah. I was going to say, just on the dries and wets, that many anti-prohibitionists, if the progressives were many of the prohibitionists, which, the parties weren't strictly delineated at the time. There's people of all kinds of positions, all kinds of parties.
The Kama Sutra of
Exactly. If the prohibitionists were largely progressives, many of the anti-prohibitionists were the kinds of ethnic immigrants, Catholics, and corrupt urban machines that ran the Democratic Party at the time. A lot of Italian immigrants, Irish immigrants, people like that. The ones that went into the mob, obviously, were fine with it being illegal. Many of the legitimate ones didn't want it to be anymore. And this was a big problem for the first Catholic nominee for president, who was Al Smith in 1928. He was the Democratic governor of New York, who was half Irish and half Italian. And he was Catholic, which was a problem for a lot of people. But he was also seen as being soft on prohibition because he came from the New York City Catholic Democratic Party machine, basically the successor to Tammany Hall. And so that's, a big part of probably why he lost to Hoover.
Wow.
To Herbie Hooves. bringing it full circle.
Because Herbie Hooves is the one who popularized a chicken in every pot.
Exactly. And Al Smith, of course, wanted whiskey in every pot.
Yeah, a rum in every ham.
Rum in every ham. That should be the name of this show.
I think you recently told me an interesting mnemonic or whatever way to remember the amendments.
That's right. I did tell you that. So the 18th Amendment is the one that passed Prohibition, and the 21st Amendment is the one that repealed it. So you just got to remember, you can't drink when you're 18. You can drink when you're 21.
Remember that next time you're on Jeopardy.
Remember
It'll
that.
save your life.
I was just going to say, I was looking up Al Smith some more, and I had thought that his dad was Irish, but his mom's Irish. His mom is Catherine Mulvihill. His dad was named Al Smith, but his name was Alfredo Ferraro.
Oh, so I might be related to him.
You might be, but I think it's really funny
family names.
that
He's
he's
Al
like,
Smith.
I need an American name. I want my children to have an American name. How about I pick Smith?
Alice Mead.
I'll be Alice Mead. I think that rocks. I support that. Al Smith Sr. was the son of Italian and German immigrants.
Oh, like
Ferraro.
us.
Like your family.
You and me. Oh. When was Huey Long?
Around the same time.
Because he loved to drink.
You did.
I mean, everyone was
Everyone
drinking.
loved to drink.
I mean,
yeah.
every time something has been prohibited, the upper class get it no matter what. Like,
And it wasn't illegal to drink.
when
It was illegal to make it and sell it.
yeah. So in the future, when there was World War II and all the rationing, Winston Churchill, this is not what it was, but like this would be like his daily menu. It would be like 2 bottles of scotch, 1 whole flagon of ice cream,
Yeah.
an entire roasted pheasant over
A dozen eggs.
a dozen eggs.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
was eating
when
Gaston-ass
The
meals.
Rock has his cheat days or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what?
What?
They won the
We
war.
won. We won.
They won the war. So maybe we should let all of our
Privileged people continue to
just get
Have unfettered-
absurdly fat on the most insane, indulgent foods.
yeah.
It worked.
Maybe we should bring back cigars. That's the thing. Should we like smoke big stogies while we do the pod?
That's like the Ben Shapiro network thing. Is they have like this.
No.
I gotta tell you about it. So on Daily
No.
Wire, they have this round table that they do like a video where they all have cigars and scotch or bourbon, probably.
pretend to
if it's
be
American.
men.
And they pretend to be men, and they're like, "So the thing is, I don't think women should be allowed to vote." And they drink their
That's not
brown
cool.
liquor and the cigar. It's not cool because a little tumbler of brown liquor and a cigar is cool. That rocks. That's fun. But they ruined it.
Yeah.
We should take it back from them. We should do our own cool, like wood paneled room round table.
We should wear
with cigars and whiskey.
smoking jackets.
Wearing smoking jackets.
It's very Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but we allow women and people of color
Exactly.
in.
So watch Some Like It Hot for Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Smoke a stogie. We're bringing it
We're
back.
bringing it back. Let's see. What's other good Valentine's Day viewing? Notting Hill. The Wedding
Right.
Singer.
You know what you should do? We'll keep listing them. But you should also listen to the episode of the podcast This Is Rad that Lucia and I guested on, where we talked about romantic comedies.
Yeah, if you
'cause
want to
we're
hear
both-
us talk about our favorite romantic
Yeah, we're both
comedies.
big fans of the rom-com genre.
Rom-com John.
Rom-com genre. That's my new
Rom-com
character.
genre.
He's a Cajun guy who's like, oh, rom-com genre. Why don't you come on down here, down the bayou?
No!
we'll walk
I
up.
was picturing
We'll
just a
walk-
Pepe Le Pew, like he's like, I'm Rom-com John.
No, I like that he's Cajun and he's like, why
Great.
don't you come on down bayou? We'll make up some what's that dish I like to make?
Gumbo.
Make up some gumbo.
So what if he talks like Herbie Halloween? You be
You be Halloween.
you be fully loaded.
You be fully loaded. Come on down. I can't do a good Cajun.
He's like, oh, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
He's Bobby Boucher.
yeah.
Yeah.
Last year, or not last, I don't know, a while ago, there was the Michael Bolton Valentine's Day special.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That's cute.
It was cute. Yeah,
What
it's
are good roms?
good romps.
When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry met Sally, Harold and Maude.
When Harold met Maude.
When Harold went Maude. Harold and Mods. That's him on Reddit.
Harold and the angry mods.
So have a happy Valentine's Day.
Do it for me.
It does not matter
Do it for Luch.
if you have a Valentine. You can be your own Valentine. Make Valentine to yourself.
Be your own damn Valentine. That's what I'm saying.
And so,
with that,
Kyle, you had me at bark bark. You make me want to be a better ham.
bark.
A better bark bark.
You bark me. Shut up. You had me at bark.
To me, you are podcast.
Oh.
If I'm a bird, you're a bird because of podcast. Because of chickens. It's a Notebook.
I'll subscribe to what she's subscribing to.
I wanna go pod with you. Bark bark.
Pod goes my cast.
Okay.
We gotta
End
go.
it.
Bye.